Good afternoon. This is Jim Whitehead. How are you all doing today? I'm always blessed, so I'm doing real well, and I have the pleasure of, some of you will know this, some of you will not, but June Lockhart, one of the nicest actresses or actors that goes way back. She started before I was born, but I grew up with her in Lassie and then Lost in Space. So we're going to tell you all about June, and she passed away. And of course, anybody that works with animals, I love them anyway. So let's get going. June Lockhart is one of the most beloved actresses of classic American television. Best remembered for her roles as the warm, intelligent mother figure in two iconic series, Lassie and Lost in Space. Here's a full look at her life and contributions to both shows. Okay, the overview of June Lockhart. She was born June Lockhart, or Kathleen Lockhart, and she was born June 25th, 1925, in New York City. Parents Jean Lockhart and Kathleen Lockhart, both well-known stage and film actors. Joan played in the 1938, and she was actually 12 years old, A Christmas Carol in 1938, alongside her parents. Whoa, that's amazing. Say, hey, Mom and Dad, can we go and do a movie? Anyway, this is Joan when she was young. And I got to, recognize or say that the pictures, these are not AI. And I wouldn't want to pull a photo of Joan that would, and it would probably be close, but it wouldn't be that a real thing. So here is Joan, happy. And as I grew up and, of course, watched Lassie and then Lost in Space, I always felt that, and my mother was a wonderful mother. I mean, I pray every night and say how wonderful she was. Well, Joan makes me think of my mother. So you can imagine how good I feel about doing this today. And the neat thing, when you do have channels, I do have two channels. One is Phoenix Animal, and this is Phoenix Animal today. The other one is Power Coffee News. And, I kind of rotate, I do one from one and one from the other. But this, again, is an honor that I have the opportunity to talk about Joan. Here's a good picture. And again, a lot of this stuff is black and white, and they're real pictures. So it isn't where, when it looks black and white, and admittedly, the resolution isn't what we like today, but there she is, a beautiful woman. And I just can't actually say more wonderful things about her. She had what we call calm intelligence, warmth, and dignity. Now, again, I'm reading this. Yes, it is a description and a good script, you might say. But, I remember all of this, most of it. Some of it I learned some more new things. And that's why I love doing these, because, you grow up with it, but you might either forget some things or maybe some things weren't shared at the time. But anyway, her qualities that defined her TV characters was, again, nice, friendly, happy, smart, intelligent, the best of the best. Anyway, June Lockhart. Oh, June. I'm going to start again. Oh, no. Anyway, I'm sorry. June Lockhart in Lassie. She was in. Lassie ran from 1958 to 1964. Now, what you're seeing is Cloris Leachman was the, was the first mother in Lassie. But I think it's the fifth season. And by the way, Timmy is the son. And he was always good and doing something wrong, or Lassie had to save him. Anyway, June came into the show in the fifth season. The show's premise centered around a heroic collie dog named Lassie, who helped humans, especially Timmy, out of danger and taught moral lessons. So how do you like it where your dog is teaching your son some of the things you should or shouldn't do? I think that's pretty cool. Lockhart's contribution. She joined the series in the fifth season, replacing actress Cloris Leachman, who had played Timmy's first adoptive mother. And there you can see, there's Timmy, there's Lassie, and June and her husband. And it's funny, I of course hadn't seen a picture of them for years. But as soon as I saw it, I went, yeah, boy, it was way in the back of my mind. And I remember it well. And by the way, her name was Ruth Martin. She became the kind of the typical American TV mother. Patient, nurturing, and wise. And I always think of my mother as being all those things. And I think of her every day and every night. And I get into thinking how wonderful she was. And that's the same with June. My mother could have played the mother and she'd be good, and June was good too. Lockhart's portrayal helped solidify Lassie as one of the most wholesome family shows of its era. And I'll tell you, I made sure I was ready to watch it in black and white. We didn't get our first color TV till approximately 1963, 1964. So black and white was black and white. So, and you accept it, and you think to yourself, as you look back, you're saying, wait a minute. This was in color, but the show wasn't. And boy, I'll tell you, when we first got our first color set, boy, that was an undertaking and a significant pleasure. And I guess you look back and you say, boy, things have certainly changed. Behind the scenes, June was known for genuinely loving the animal co-stars, especially Lassie, a male dog named Pal Jr. See, I didn't know that. I mean, I'm not saying I knew that Lassie was Lassie, but I guess I thought they were Lassie. And, and for some reason, I feel a little funny about this in general. Through the whole time that Lassie was part of our culture, unfortunately, dogs have such a short life that we got into where they had to have more than one Lassie. And they had to have, even at the same time, because let's say in one of Lassie's endeavors, let's say she hurt herself. And the old saying, the show must go on. So they would have fill-ins. And then, of course, unfortunately, as any dog gets older, it's time that they have to say, well, you've done a great job. It's time for you to retire. By the way, she also, you can see behind me, that's a seal for animal welfare. But anyway, she often advocated for animal welfare off screen. So the thing is, when you meet someone or you see somebody on TV and you go, wow, they're wonderful. Well, June was. She was wonderful. I don't know what else to say. Here's another good picture of her with Lassie and the logo for the animal welfare. So she not only acted like she loved dogs and animals, she did. And I'm sure she contributed to the animal welfare to ensure that animals were treated in the best way they could be. And the neatest thing when you think back, because my wife asked me when you saw horses and what have you, and I think she said something to the effect, in general, talking about whatever show we were watching, ooh, animals get hurt, animals get killed. I said, believe it or not, of course, they're treated better than the actual actors. And they have a certain amount of time restrictions and care restrictions. So I think you can really feel that you'll never have to worry that if you see an animal on a show that they're being mistreated. No, they get the best of the best. Legacy from Lassie. Her role made her a household name across America. She won a special award from the American Humane Association for her compassion toward animals. So again, she's not kidding around. Even decades later, she spoke fondly of Lassie and remained close with John Provost, that was Timmy. Now, the next thing her next endeavor, and this show went from 1965 to 1968, Lost in Space. Now, I'm a sci-fi person that I like science fiction. And this wasn't a bad show. You know, they kind of where they get in space and they kind of had some fuel issues, and each week was again them trying to get back home. And one little aside, I didn't even put a picture of Dr. Smith. And he's not even in the picture, which is good. he was such a jerk. I mean, in other words, they might be having a wonderful day because they're figuring out where they are, and he would do something stupid. And you'd go, oh, Dr. Smith, cut it out. So anyway, that's the Robinson family. And they're in space. They're still lost in space, maybe. I don't know. So she was in the show. Let me just go back. In the show, she was Dr. Maureen Robinson, mother of the Robinson family. The show's premise: the Robinsons are a spacefaring family stranded on distant planets after their ship, the Jupiter 2. See, I had forgotten that. I had forgotten it. Jupiter 2. What happened to Jupiter 1? Anyway, I'm not sure. Anyway, Jupiter 2 is thrown off course while colonizing space. Her character, intelligent, there we go, and it was true, calm and maternal, but also a trained biochemist, reflecting a more modern portrayal of women in science for the 1960s television. So the neatest thing is, you know, and I'm not a stereotyped connoisseur of feeling that women do this and men do that. No, I'm not, and mainly because, and I'm sorry I bring my mother back into this because she just reminded me of June, or June reminds me of her. My mother passed away in 1994, but she, before some of the, you know, you'd say, well, the women would be in the kitchen and the men would be at work, and the women are cooking and cleaning and the men are at work. And they come home and they expected dinner to be on the table and the newspaper to be there, and if they drank coffee, to have coffee. She helped break the stereotypical woman to being what I feel women are: good, smart, mothers, do anything to help you, always congratulate you and say, hey, you've done a good job. So there she is. I've got my mother on TV and my mother is at home. That's good. I get double header. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to try to tell jokes, but you know how it is. When you talk to yourself, yeah, sometimes you just kind of do. She balanced the family heart of the show with a quiet strength and moral center, excuse me. Her co-stars were Guy Williams, you can see in the picture. His name was John Robinson in the movie, show. Mata Christian, Judy Robinson. Mark Goddard, Major Don West, he's not in the picture, and I do remember him. Angela Cartwright, Penny Robinson, Billy Mummy, wow. That was Will Robinson, Mr. Freckles. Jonathan Harris. Now, this is the guy, and I made sure I didn't even put a picture in because I just didn't like this guy. Because again, they would be all set, figuring things out. This is what you have to do, and then he would do something stupid. It's just the way it is. That would be the only thing that would bother me. Anyway, the Robinson, Danger, Will Robinson. Anyway, you'll see the. In fact, I'm going to duck down. There is the robot, and he was believable. And if you think of this being in the 60s, we finally now are actually getting to where robots are robots and can do just about anything. So our future, and that would have been, 60 years ago. So we're finally getting there. Just, some fun facts. June loved the science fiction aspect of the show and was known to engage the technical advisors about space and science. She occasionally brought her pet dog to the set. There we go. Lockhart was known for her grace under pressure, helping maintain harmony on a sometimes chaotic set. Legacy in science fiction. Lost in Space gained a cult following and remains one of the most iconic 1960s sci-fi series. Lockhart's Maureen Robinson became one of TV's first mother figures in space, paving the way for a later strong, intelligent female leads in science fiction. She even made a cameo in the 1998, which I haven't seen. I'm going to go back and watch. I'm going to go watch it. A Lost in Space film starring William Hurt and Mimi Rogers. Later life, by the way, when she passed away a week or so ago, she was 100 years old. So, and I don't know what issue she had in her later life in the sense of health. But when you live, they generally say that if you make it through your 70s, I'm 76, you will probably, in other words, if something doesn't get you in your 70s and you get to your 80s, you're probably going to continue longer than that, 80s or 90s. Well, God bless her. She was such a good person, an honest person, that, if anybody would say, well, does that in itself personify length of life? I think it does. Because, you're thinking every day. And, we can either be in a hole or we can be on a mountain. It really depends on us. So, later life and with recognition, she had other roles. And you're going to see, I'm going to show you, she appeared in shows like, and I didn't know this, but I watched this show. So for some reason, I missed the fact, but she was in Petticoat Junction. But I don't think she was, of course, with every show. So it's not that if you missed a show, you would, watch it or whatever. I love trains. So Petticoat Junction was just another one of my likes. So, I'm having a ball today. Science fiction, animals, trains. Boy, this is amazing. Now, on the right, that's Grey's Anatomy. Now, that she's not in that picture, but she did do a little work on Grey's Anatomy. And she also did on the left Full House, which I never watched. I'm not a sitcom person in general. I don't know why. When I used to watch I Love Lucy and then The Lucy Show, Lucy Arnaz, I always got uncomfortable of all the things she was getting into. So I had a little trouble watching those. And I don't know, I'm not a half hour desiring to watch, these comedy sitcoms. On the right is she was in Seventh Heaven, which again I'm not familiar with, other than pulling a picture for it. There we go. Okay, the awards that she received. And again, the picture is not wonderful. So I apologize, because it had to be where it was kind of slanted wrong. And, I had to enlarge it so that I could show it to you. But she had 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, 1 for motion pictures, 1 for television. So she covered all the bases. Longevity. As of, unfortunately, she died and she was 100 years old, but she is still remembered as a symbol of kindness and professionalism. Legacy, she represents a golden era of television, wholesome, pioneering, and family-centered entertainment. So, again, I love what I do. With my presentations, it's always where I feel that I'm the lucky one that has the opportunity of pulling these together. And I don't generally pull things together I don't like or I don't want to do. So, this is, one of the ones that I would put on the top of the list and say, Don, good job. Anyway, I want to thank you. I always thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, if you're looking at this, on all the way to the left, that's the robot. And, you could talk to him and he would move and he would tell you when there was danger, and that's Will Robinson right next to him. And he'd be saying, danger, danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger. So anyway, I guess he helped them out a lot. Anyway, again, thank you. I really appreciate it. And, I always love having people ask questions or leave comments. And I think I started calling it Joan. Duh. I'm an old guy and I have no excuses, but bottom line, I'm sorry. And God rest her soul. Anyway, I hope things are getting better. I know we have issues, and we also know that Jamaica is getting hit with one of the strongest, if not the strongest storm that we've had in this hemisphere. And it then moves on to Cuba. My wife's Cuban, and she has, of course, family still in Cuba, and they absolutely have nothing there. I don't even understand. You know, I think with there's no reason why, in my opinion, that the political nature of not currently, but sometime in the future, I'm hoping that we really can move to really just be friends with Cuba, and there'd be so many good opportunities in the sense of tourists, cruises, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I know President Obama was working in that direction, and then from that point on, after his time, it was like now there's something bad about Cuba. Certainly those that are running Cuba it doesn't make sense. But the people there, because again, we have family and we know what they go through, and we send them things, and some things that you and I take for granted. And I'll just tell you one quick story, and I'm sorry, I know I make these too many tangents, but one of my wife's friends, she has a very elderly father, and he's, I think, in his 90s. And it's even amazing that someone can live that long with so little medicine and so on and so forth. Well, we found out that he was using a razor. This is about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He was using a razor that he had from the 50s. And he was still using the same blade. Now you're saying, you're making that up. No, I'm not. So what we did, besides other things we've sent before and after, we sent him, we got it on Amazon, a bunch of razor blades and a new razor for like $19. And that was like, when he received it, was like the best gift in the world. So we send them Tylenol, we send them Motrin. I mean, things they just don't have. They just don't have it. So anyway, let's all pray for everybody that needs help. I do that every night. All the animals, all the people, everybody in the United States. We know, and I even feel guilty about doing presentations when this is the biggest problem I have today. Or I don't have any problems today, however you want to look at it. So I always wish everybody the very, very best, and try to say I feel that sooner or later, hopefully things will start to return to somewhat of a normal state. Anyway, thank you for being here. And I hope you had some fun today, like I am having fun. Take care. Thank you.